Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nkoya, aka NdiNaija. Ja, ja, ja. Whoa. Alright, for today's Vlogmas, we're going to do things a little differently. As you know, we're very quickly approaching 2023. And I'm putting some ideas down together for my 2023 planning. And I figured that I would brain dump with you all to kind of, just look at my calendar for the next year and just write down everything I need to plan for. Coupled with this type of planning, of course, would be things like goals or goal planning, your habits, projects, and I just want to get it all like out there. So this is going to be a pretty simple spread, if you will. I'll zoom in. Yeah. So this is going to be a pretty simple spread. It's just dates to note. For 2023. And I'm approaching this from a dates perspective because time is of the essence, right? Time is very important. It's important to know when to do things. So one of the things you will need is a calendar showing you your year. This calendar is from EC. It is from the hourly binder. I believe it is no longer available, but that doesn't matter. You can use any calendar that shows you several months at a time, right? So some of the things that are very important to me, or some of the things that I think about. One, let's start with finances. Let me be sure that I am in. Yeah. So starting with finances, one of the big things is your four walls, right? You have your shelter, you have your transportation. I don't even know what all makes up the four walls. You have food. What is Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Clothes on your back, shoes on your feet, all that's together. Then food, transportation, house, maybe work. I don't think that's part of the four walls. We have here three of the walls, okay? And as you know, this video isn't edited. We're just going with it, okay? So for the house, you have things like mortgage, HOA dues, insurance, homeowners insurance. I'll just write insurance. And there is also a home warranty. Another thing you can add here maybe is, if you would call this a second tier item, is pest control. Pest control. This really should be under the umbrella of maintenance. So let's just call it maintenance. Maintenance. And I'm going to separate it from repair, just because. So for your car, you have car payment. This is going to move a bit. So for my car, you have your regular, if you would call it rent. You have the payment. If you do have a payment, you have insurance. Gas is, pretty much all the time. So that shouldn't be in here. I guess let's leave it. It's just a thing. You have maintenance. Then you'll have registration. And depending on how old your car is, you might have repair. Because a car is a machine, it has moving parts. There will be things to replace. That's just that. And then you have food. Food is an ongoing item. Yeah, food is an ongoing item. But some other things that could come in here in the maintenance of your home would be things like furniture and appliances, in case you need anything new. So these are things I'm thinking about when I consider my finances. Next would be health. When I'm considering my health, one of the things that is the biggest would be appointments, right? You need to schedule doctor's appointments for women and all of us who, have certain parts and pieces or need to maintain certain parts and pieces. You have a gynecologist, you have kids, you have a pediatrician. It's called a gyne, pediatrician. Why do you get to have the full name done? You get dentist appointments, you have mammograms, depending on your age, you have colonoscopies. And what else do you have? You guys can leave stuff in the comments, okay? So that's health. Other things that you need to think about while you're just doing like a big picture look at your year, because that's what we're doing. You would also consider holidays. When are the holidays? What do you need to plan for in order for those holidays to make sense for you? Do you need to schedule your vacations? You need to look at your holidays. So you got federal holidays. I'm just calling it Fed holidays. I hope you guys can see that. Yeah, let's go over there. So you have federal holidays, you have state holidays. You have, if you have kids, I have a kid, so I have to consider school holidays as well. And then you have vacation planning, right? Vacation planning. In conjunction with these, you can have your therapist's appointments or seeing a therapist. When will you see a therapist? Do you need to take mental health days? When will you take a mental health day? Can you attach it to one of these holidays to give you a longer break if you need to? You can sort of gamify this process of holidays and make your life a little easier, right? So now we've gotten to holidays. You've figured out, okay, these are things I need to do. I need to know when they are and put them all on the calendar. You can decide to use different colors if you're going to use a color scheme or some highlighters or dot markers in here. And then you also need to consider your job, right? When are your busy days at work? Let's just put work right here. Let's make sure I'm in frame. Yeah. So when are your busy days at work, or call it a busy season? For folks like accountants, they are about to enter their busy season. Typically, the first quarter of the year is very busy, and I would say from late February up until middle of April, accountants are, crazy busy, super busy. So you have to consider it for your own job. When is the end of your fiscal year for work? Because Typically, for a lot of companies, by the time you're approaching the end of the fiscal year, either projects are due or projects need to go out the door. You need to be putting in invoicing if your company has something to do with invoicing. If you're preparing for an audit, you need to make sure you have all your documents for your audit ready by the end of the fiscal year so that you make things easy for the accountants or the auditors who have to come in right after the fiscal year. And generally, fiscal years don't always match up with calendar years. Your fiscal year might end in July. My fiscal year, I'm talking about at my job now, my fiscal year might end in October. Some people's fiscal years, I think July and October are pretty common. Let me know down below in the comments what yours are. So you have all of these. Then we're going to go to relationships. Now, I don't think it's part of the four walls. I'm going to write what the four walls are up here just so that I have a reminder. We're going to talk about relationships. And this is the when, right? Now, why did I do that? You need to remember your family members' birthdays, anniversaries, if you guys have a family reunion coming up. So in terms of relationships, you need birthdays, anniversaries, family reunions, you can even put family vacation here because some people vacation with their extended family, for example. So you call it a family vacay, and you can just have events. Some of these events would be weddings, God forbid, funerals, baby showers, so just call it all events. If you already know when these events are, excuse me, if you already know when these events are, you need to put them on your calendar, right? Next thing that some people don't consider, but I've gotten to the point in my life where it's something I have to consider, and I'm grateful for this. Things like your professional development. So this can take many forms depending on the industry that you're in. I'm in the architecture, engineering, construction industry. So when you have certain certifications or licenses, you need to do what can be called professional development hours, credential develop. What are CDUs? I don't know. Professional development hours, PDUs, I think is the most common name. Some other places call them CDUs, credential maintenance or credential maintenance units. They're called different things, but this is something to consider when you're looking at the big picture of your year, right? You need to know the due dates for when your association memberships are due. So association memberships, call that due. You need to know when your PDUs are due, PDUs due date. And that means you need to plan for how you're going to achieve those professional development units. You don't want to get to 2 days before the deadline and find out that you have to do 30 hours of learning. Except if you don't sleep. And even if you don't sleep, you may not make that, that 30 hours because you have to go to work, right? 24 minus 8 and all of that. And then you have to drive and you have to eat. You've got to go to the bathroom. Then you have to answer questions. You might need to take quizzes. You might need to show competency. So give yourself time and figure out when those PDUs are due and then when they expire. Expirations. When does your membership of your professional organization expire? And do you need to gather documentation to renew it? Okay? So you've put all of these things down. And now it's time to look at how all of this fits with your goals. If you've done your goal breakdown and your goal consideration prior to this, then at this point is where then you bring your goals next to all of these dates and say, do I really have the time? And let's zoom back out. Yeah. And you say, do I really have the time to achieve these goals with all of this that I have to do, all of these things that I have to accomplish, right? You can also put your habits down, just to keep in mind the things that you're going to be doing every day in order to achieve some of these regular adult things that take time and money. They take time, they take effort, they take planning, and they take money. And that's why we're doing this, right? So now at the end of the day, you're going to ask yourself, for all of my goals that I want to accomplish, for your goals accomplishment, do you have space? Is there space? On my calendar for my goals. Now, if you've already done your goals breakdown and you already know what goals that you want to achieve in 2023, and you've put these dates and times and ranges of things down on your calendar, then you get to a point where you can say, okay, now I can pick and choose, if necessary, which goals I want to achieve and when, right? When I did my, let me see if I can find it here. When I was considering my goals for 2023, I started, I did a couple of things, and then I ended up, oh, not in here. I ended up, where did it go? I'm quite sure I had my list. I'm not going to edit this, like I said. Ah, here it is. So, when I was considering my goals for 2023, I had this, this is a goal, is just a dream page. I actually went through some other planner, which I don't know where it is now. But I did something like this, where I just wrote down everything that I was considering and when I would do it. I put it down like a very basic to-do list. Here. I put it down like a very, very basic to-do list. And I even had 2021 tasks, and then this is the stuff for 2022. Routines, and then the big situation. Now, I believe I have some videos on my channel that show like goal planning and achieving, and you can look that up. But there. So now you need to consider your goals in terms of space on your calendar. And yeah, that's what I wanted to discuss with you guys. Putting down everything on paper, because you're not just planning the dates that you're doing things. You're planning your time. You're looking at if you have space in your life. Because if you know, for example, your sister's wedding is on March 18th, it might not be a great idea to schedule your professional exam for March 20th or March 17th. See? Capiche? Okay. So that's all for today. I will see you guys tomorrow, continuing Vlogmas. Let me know if you have a similar list or what you would change or add to your list so that we can all benefit. Thanks, everyone. Bye.